you fall in love with writing first or music?
So funny, because, like, they kind of go hand in hand a little bit, but then they don't. So I would say, like, I've always loved music. I think writing really was the vehicle for me to share my opinions. And I felt like that, like, validated or legitimized my opinions of what I was saying. I noticed that, especially I would say, like, high school, I noticed that, and I loved, there's this meme, I wish I could remember it, but it was like, if you looked up to, you were definitely a depressed kid if you, like, looked up to your ELA teacher or whatever. Your ELA teacher was, like, your second parent or something. I was definitely one of those kids. I was obsessed with, like, all of my ELA, and I took, what do they call it when it's, like, a college course ELA? What do they call it?
College comp?
No, AP.
No.
Oh,
AP.
Yeah.
AP English. I was always in AP English classes. So, like, I was obsessed with my English teachers. And so, but I realized writing, and at that time I was reading a lot too. So I realized that writing, reading, all of that, like, it just legitimizes and validates, like, people's opinions and voices. Like, if I was to come out and say something, I feel like people wouldn't listen to me as much as they would, because they would be able to, like, digest the information on their own time if they're reading it. Like, they can take their time to read it or try to understand it, where if you're just talking to someone, they might not listen. So I realized writing really was a way to, like, a vehicle to, like, share my opinions and perspectives, because I think I've always had strong opinions. Yeah. And then later down the road with music, I mean, I just always loved music, but I went through a lot of phases of really discovering music. And then, like, even looking back, because I started writing for the record at Buff State, like, immediately. And I'm like, I look back at that and I'm like, yo, like, I could see how all this set up to what I'm doing now, which is crazy. But I would write about culture. I would write about music. I would write about artists at Buff State that are from Buffalo. Like, I look back at it now and I'm like, wow, I was doing the same thing back then. But yeah, those two things coming together really is my passion. I love it. And I love telling people stories. I love doing that. So that's fun too.
I'm glad, like, do you mean just telling people stories in general? Or do you mean telling, like, because it sounds like you, with your blog, it doesn't sound like, but there is, you tell the stories of so many other people. It's a phenomenal resource what you've created on getting information about local things. And man, you're so right about for, like, younger people, like kids and stuff, because a lot of kids do feel the same way that you did. I felt that way when I was a kid, kind of like a very lonely kid.
Yeah.
It's just good to know that there are other people out there. That is, I mean,
That part.
that's beyond valuable. That's maybe the most important thing there is. And we're lucky that we live in a time where it's so easy to see that there are other people out, to find them, to interact with them, even if they're across the world.
Yeah.
We can find them. Whereas before, I don't even know where we'd be. We'd just be living on top of hills and, like,
What was it?
hometowns.
What was it? When you would write to a friend, like, in
Pen
pals.
Pen pal. Yeah, I remember doing that in, like, 3rd grade or something.
The pen pal trait, no, missed me with the pen pals.
I don't think I ever had pen pal.
Some people, like, I distinctly remember, like, being on TikTok and seeing, like, somebody connect, like, with their pen pal, or, like, and for, like, such a long time they stayed in touch with each other.
That would be, I can definitely imagine that. That would be really cool. I remember Flat Stanley. That's all I remember from school. Do you know what we're talking about?
I remember Flat Stanley.
You had to send your Flat Stanley somewhere.
We got to put Flat Stanley in a who would win at some point.
Oh, yeah.